Okay, let's see if we can do this. Welcome everyone to the Seance at the Whitney. We are doing another fun episode of our murder mystery game, and you are invited. This is our schedule. We keep to about an hour. This is as close to the changing of the events as I can possibly get. Things are, crazy and upside down a lot, so I make no promises. The Seance at the Whitney is an interactive indie author virtual book festival featuring author readings, interactive improv, mystery game, and book giveaways. Our authors are astounding human beings, you guys. If you're watching the replays, please pause, go look up their books, and buy them because you won't be disappointed. Do it. You'll be happy. Okay, tonight we had a little bit of a technology glitch, and unfortunately, Dawn Menge will not be able to join us reading her book, Precious Baby Dragon. It is a cool book, though. Come back on the 27th, and you'll get to hear her read then. In her stead, Donna Newman is flipping, and she's going to be reading tonight her children's book, I Want a Birthday Party. Sorry for the graphics. This kind of happened last minute for us. Also reading tonight, Jennifer Rains, all the way from Australia. And I love saying that because it makes me feel oh so like super special that I know people on the other side of the planet. Jennifer Rains will be reading from her book, Layla's Choice, which is also a really super good book. You guys got to check these out. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with the technology snafus. I really, really appreciate it. Jennifer Rains, we're going to start with you. When you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Layla's Choice, Chapter 1. Hamish McGregor gave a silent whistle. The images he'd seen of Carmen Vella hadn't done her justice. Professional websites, her niece's social feed. Carmen was often in the background, good enough for recognition, although the unskilled snap and upload photography was exposed the moment Hamish spotted the flesh and blood woman through the customs gates at Lucca, Malta International Airport. Her hair matched the Instapics, thick and blue-black, while the gammon cut framed distinctive facial features. Her sculpted cheekbones were balanced by a softly rounded chin, a slightly too wide mouth, and a straight nose. From close study, he knew her eyes were ebony, not black. The subtle browns and greens had held his attention longer than strictly necessary for identification purposes. Every single image had missed the energy emanating in waves from the woman walking towards him. He'd want her passion on his side in a fight. Maybe that explained why her father had dispatched her from Australia rather than come himself. She was also gorgeous, impossible to ignore. Her purposeful stride emphasised the vitality contained in her compact body. Her skin tone was a warm olive, a reminder of her family's Mediterranean origins. She wore a loose tomato red sweater and tailored straight dark trousers atop short leather boots. But the sense of lush curves had him sucking in a breath. The air around her snapped with electricity. Miss Carmen Vella was making a dramatic entrance, if you equated drama with stealing one's breath. Her head lifted to scan her surroundings, and her rich dark gaze collided with his. Desire was immediate, the kind he hadn't experienced since he was an adolescent, when hormones regularly swamp more cerebral considerations. Any considerations, if I'm honest. His reaction rocked him. Mindless lust was a relic of his adolescence, along with his drum kit. He valued women, loved his mother and sisters, and respected the women who worked for him. It took more than an attractive package to trigger his libido. Why Carmen Vella? The kicker was the secrets clouding her eyes in those images he'd studied. They'd stuck in his mind. He understood defencelessness. His success as a domestic violence and child protection advocate depended on it. This woman wasn't defenceless, but the disconnect between the vulnerability in her eyes in the photos and the self-possession in every line of the elegant Miss Vella tugged at him, She cleared the final exit, her journey from Sydney, Australia, to Valletta, Malta, complete. Carmen Vella, he closed the last few metres between them. Her head turned, her body stilled, her expression unreadable. You work for my father? Question or accusation? He held his palms up in a gesture of goodwill. I work for myself. I was in Malta on other business, but I've agreed to stay a few days longer to assist you and your family search for your niece. I haven't asked for your assistance. Her voice was deep and low, the soft cadence at odds with the wariness he read in her stare. He hadn't expected suspicion. Your father, he started. I'm here independently of my father. She placed careful emphasis on each word. Miss Vella. Only my father calls me Carmen. Miranda, we're blocking the exit. There was a time when saying Carmen instantly sparked the response Miranda, at least in his house, where his grandfather had been hooked on old movies. Let's get out of everyone's way. He raised his voice enough to explain to a casual onlooker why he'd reached for her suitcase. Miranda, she held tightly to her bag. Her scent, a little peppery, was proving a more reliable clue to the woman than the short bio he'd uncovered in his limited research. Seriously, Carmen Miranda, a 1940s Hollywood star. What century are you from? Give me an alternative. Who are you? She demanded. He was close enough to be singed by the sparks flying off her. Hamish McGregor. I'm an Australian lawyer specialising in the illegal movement of minors across international borders. He extracted his passport from his jacket pocket and passed it to her. As I said, I'm in Malta on other business and agreed to provide some assistance. To Papa. She scanned his passport, a slight tremble in her hand. Aren't you both pursuing the same objective? I'm not sure of his objective. Hamish was also close enough to glimpse the weariness he'd missed at first glance. The turbulence in her beautiful eyes testified to an internal battle. He was impressed when self-control trumped tiredness and anxiety about her missing niece. Sorry, I wasn't expecting Papa to contact me so soon. But you were expecting contact. Hamish's instructions from Sydney had been explicit. Giovanni Vella is my father. I love him. We share a big house with my niece and Papa's sister. There's always contact. She dimpled through her exhaustion, her smile devastating in its charm. Her response was a succinct summary, but not quite the truth. Giovanni Vella might be the devil or a saint for all the inflection in her voice, and Hamish was no clearer on whether she'd cooperate in his search. Tell me what Papa has asked you to do. Apart from working with you? He asked. A frown marred her smooth brow, giving Hamish a clue. You really weren't expecting me. Here, now. Not so soon, but here you are. How about I buy you a coffee, talk about what we each expected? Hamish binned all the assumptions he'd made so far. She nodded. He took charge of her suitcase and headed out of the stream of people towards a nearby cafe. The rat-tat-tat of her heels hitting the marble tiles of the concourse close behind beat out a message clearer than Morse code, even before she spoke. I'm agreeing to a conversation. That's all.
Yeah. Well done. I always love it when you read. So cool. You have a great storytelling voice. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Can you hold your book up so we can see it? There it is. Oh, a little closer to the, there you go.
My
Layla's
face?
choice. There it is. Those digital backgrounds are wacky. Okay. Let me make sure. Yep. All set. Donna Newman, are you ready to read?
Yes.
Yay! Okay. Share your screen, and when you're ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
All right. It was Friday, and Annie knew two things. Tomorrow was her birthday, and she was jealous of Rhonda. Annie really liked Rhonda, but Rhonda had gotten the one thing that Annie had always wanted, a birthday party. Last weekend was Rhonda's birthday. Everyone but Annie had gone. It was a Western Princess party at Mount Pork Ranch. All week, everyone continued to talk about the party, share silly cowpoke jokes, and wear the hats that Rhonda's mom made. Annie wished she could have gone, but mostly she wished she could have a big party. Thankfully, the bell rang and Annie didn't have to think about Rhonda or birthday parties anymore. Rhonda is so lucky, thought Annie as she walked to the bus. On the bus, the new girl, Julie, sat next to Annie. Guess what? Tomorrow is my birthday. Mine too, said Annie. Really? Julie said excitedly. That makes us twins. I guess, Annie shrugged. Since we just moved here, my mom says she'll take me to Fort Carrot. Have you been there? Julie asked. Do you want to come? I can't, responded Annie. Oh, that's okay. What are you doing for your birthday? Nothing, Annie said sadly. Oh, are you grounded? Is that why you didn't go to Rhonda's party? Annie sighed. No, my family doesn't do birthday parties. Julie gasped. No birthday parties? That means you don't get presents. You don't get birthday cake. That is awful. Annie looked out the window. Tomorrow she was going to be 8 and she wasn't going to get the one thing she wanted. She screamed in her head, I want a birthday party. A big birthday party with tiara, Western hats, carrot cake, and presents just like Rhonda. Annie sniffed. Julie whispered, I'm sorry you don't get a birthday. Annie snapped. I don't want to talk about birthdays or birthday parties. Okay, but I'm coming over, remember? Julie responded. Whatever, but no talking about birthdays. Fine, smiled. When they got to Annie's house, Mom invited the girls to help bake banana cookies. I never baked cookies before, Julie said excitedly. Why are we? Mom answered, because it's Friday and the sun is shining. Annie rolled her eyes, but Julie's eyes got big. Really? Mom likes to bake cookies just because, Annie answered. Julie didn't say a word. After a snack of cookies and molasses milk, Mom told the girls to play. As they entered Annie's room, Julie immediately ran up to Annie's Princess Porky doll. Oh, where did you get her? It's what I want for my birthday. Annie responded, from Granny and Pappy. For Christmas? Just because. Julie repeated, just because. That's when she noticed Annie's wall of dolls. Wow, Julie said. Yeah, my Uncle Gordon sends me dolls from everywhere, said Annie as she pointed out a doll. This one is my favorite. I think it's from Japan. She picked up another. I got this. Just got this. He's silly and always sends me a note. A gift for my niece I found while in Spain. I think she's rather pretty, so hope you don't think she's late. Love, Uncle Gordon. I know it's silly, said Annie. Julie softly responded, no, it's nice. I don't have any uncles. The rest of the afternoon, the girls played with dolls and were sad when it was time for Julie to go. But when Julie was walking to the door, she stopped at a picture. Annie looked. That's my Granny and Pappy's. We go there every year over winter break. They come here in the summer and take us on a road trip. Julie's eyes got big. Every summer you go on a road trip? Annie shrugged. Yep. Last summer we went to Hedgehog Canyon. Julie shook her head. Don't tell me, just because, and left. Annie was puzzled. Is just because a bad thing? The next morning, Annie woke up and thought, it's my birthday. She closed her eyes and wished for a birthday party with a big cake and then headed to the kitchen. Mom was in the kitchen drinking dandelion tea and eating carrot chip muffins. Guess what? Annie said. What? Responded Mom. Today is my birthday. Her mom looked at her. You don't look any different. Do you feel any different? Before Annie could think about it, her big brother Lee and her dad came in. Annie announced, today is my birthday. So, responded Lee. Annie stuck out her tongue. Already? Questioned her dad. Yes, mumbled Annie. I can't believe you're 6 already. Dad, I'm 8. What? 8? That's so old. You know what it means. It's time for new chores. Annie groaned. Dad eyed her and asked, you want to keep your old chores? I thought you didn't like taking out the trash. Annie mumbled no. Oh, good, replied Dad. Remember, as we grow up, we add more responsibilities, are expected to make bigger contributions to help out. Mom gently put her hand on Annie's shoulder. With more responsibility comes more privileges. Think hard on your new chores. And then she kissed Annie on the head. Annie didn't have time to think about chores because Lee kicked her under the table and asked, "Do you want to make a blanket fort?" Of course, Annie did. And they spent all morning making the biggest blanket fort ever. Mom even helped, and Dad challenged everyone to pillow fights that left an enormous feather mess. After cleaning up and Annie's favorite lunch of grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with banana chips, they went on a bike ride to the ice cream shop. Dad splurged on hot raisin sundaes for everyone. When they got home, Mom said she was going to make asparagus tacos. And since Annie was now 8, she was going to learn how. Annie was excited and thought, I'm really growing up. I get to cook. Annie spent the rest of the afternoon with her mom, cooking all of Annie's favorites, asparagus tacos, green bean casserole, and turnip fries. But the best part was while they cooked, Mom told Annie about the day she was born, about the house full of company and how everyone stayed with Lee while Dad rushed Mom to the hospital. Annie laughed when she heard that Lee demanded they send her back because she smelled funny. Dinner was amazing, and even Lee said Annie did a great job. Annie felt so grown up. Then she remembered her chores and shouted, I want to vacuum the floor, set the table, and bring in the mail. Dad winked at her and said, first an amazing dinner, and now new chores. I think you are showing real responsibility, enough responsibility for a 9 p.m. bedtime. A 9 p.m. bedtime, thought Annie, and smiled. Maybe turning a year older isn't a bad thing, even without a party. As the family sat down to watch Annie's favorite movies, Spanish Cabbages, the phone rang. It was Julie. How was your birthday? Annie excitedly told Julie about her day, about spending time with her family, her new chores, and her new bedtime. Better than mine, Julie said, upset. Julie told Annie that her mom had dropped the cake. No one came but her little cousin and her 3-year-old brother. They whined because they couldn't go on the big rides, so she could only go on the baby rides with them. Her dad forgot her birthday, and her mom said she had to wait for the Princess Porky doll for Christmas. I'm so sorry, consoled Annie. Annie, I felt sorry for you. Why? Asked Annie. Because you weren't going to have a birthday party of presents. I don't feel sorry for you now. I'm jealous. What? Gasped Annie. You spent the day with your family. You get to go on road trips and have pillow fights. You don't have to wait until your birthday for presents or treats. You get them just because. I think you're lucky. And then hung up. Annie realized Julie was right. She didn't need a big party for her birthday because that isn't what birthdays are about. Birthdays are a day to remember who you are and celebrate that you're growing up. Annie really was lucky. I can unshare my square.
Love that book. I absolutely love your Annie the Porcupine series and how it really shows little kids a different perspective and parents too. So thank you very much for jumping in tonight and helping us to battle the technology monsters. I appreciate you very much, Donna. Thank you. All right, here we go, you guys. We're gonna try and get through this. I don't know. Room full of pantsers. I just don't know. All right, here we go. For anybody who needs to know the backstory, this is it. At the Ghost Bar inside the Whitney Manor and historic Detroit estate, a world-famous psychic medium has come for an exclusive invitation-only seance. With so many curious about spiritualism around the world, this event promises to connect the living and the spirit worlds, opening doors to mysteries that transcend time and space. But when the seance spirals into a chilling rendezvous with a vengeful spirit and a shocking murder, it falls upon those in attendance to unravel the truths hidden in the darkest depths of the past. A spirit is summoned, vowing revenge on their killer. One of the ghosts becomes hysterical, claiming the spirit is there for them. Suddenly, the lights start flickering and the wind pushes the windows open, extinguishing the candles around the room. The room and everyone in it are thrust into darkness. When the light returns, that same hysterical guest is lying on the floor, dead. Who killed them? Why? Was it the furious spirit or something far more earthly? Our cast of characters tonight. The medium is played by the great Christopher Gare. His assistant is Donna Newman. The author is played by Amy Kelso. The socialite is played by Dawn Menge, and unfortunately, she is not in the room tonight. The spouse is played by Jules Nelson. She also is not in the room tonight. The fan is played by Marianne Wieland. The aloof guest is Gary Floyd. The maitre d' is Melinda Falgo. She is not in the room tonight. And I am your storyteller. So, we had a lot of fun last night, folks. Let's see if we can keep the roller coaster going. I have faith in all of you, pantsers one and all. Who would like to begin the questions? Christopher, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I am deeply troubled by all the libelous remarks by Mackenzie since this entire ordeal started. So I will call on my great and mystical powers gifted to me by the universe and several monetary gifts over the years by Marianne to shed light on the darkness that has become a metaphysical catfight, looking at you, Amy and Jules, and prove once and for all that I am more than just a great set of crystal balls. I have tonight another letter that was mailed to me. I think we can crack this case open again tonight. We will see. Sorry, that was the Taco Bell. Those Dorito tacos are amazing. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. Could have been on that cab ride, maybe. Let's find out and see here. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. The cheap brand of liquor Marianne Whelan bought to bring in the new year with. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. Thank you so much for your wisdom and insight and amazing metaphysical abilities. I know we all appreciate them. Amy Kelso, go ahead.
Okay, well, I have a question for Mark Love. Because last night, your story took place in the Whitney. So what I want to know is, did you perhaps sneak into the Whitney and kill Richard?
Not unless it happened about 18 months ago when that story was first written. Chasing Favors was released last July, and actually the launch party was hosted by our very own storyteller. And perhaps that's where she got the idea for the seance to be held at the Whitney. I was there first.
Okay, so it's she stole the idea from you to kill Richard. I got it.
Just let me clear up something here. I didn't make up the seance. Troy Haynes did that part. I'm just here doing my part for journalism integrity. So
I mean, okay.
I didn't make it up. Gary Floyd, go ahead.
So, Mark, what you're trying to say is that Richard did survive your reading?
Back in July. He was still kicking back then.
Okay. All right. Who else has question? Donna, go ahead.
My question is for the great storyteller. Everybody says that they're connected one way or another, except for me, of course, because I'm here because the great Christopher saved my life. But did you go to school? Where did you go to school? Did you go to school with any of these people since you're here? I mean, you're a journalist, but you got invited. Who invited you?
Well, okay. So I'm not as what's the word? Affluent as the rest of the members around this table. I grew up in Southfield. I went to Southfield High School. And the reason that I was able to snag this story today is because I have a connection with the investigative reporting team at the Free Press and also the radio team at WJR Radio. And they like my work, and they asked me if I'd write a story on this because the great Christopher doesn't come to Detroit very often. So this is a special event, and I was fortunate enough to be asked to write the story. Amy, go ahead.
Well, in my notes, I believe you mentioned that you were my classmate, and I thought I recognized you, although I didn't spend much time with you because you were, as you said, not quite as affluent as some others. But
Yeah, because of the lack of funding that my parents had when I was a child, I was in your English class for a semester in 10th
okay,
grade.
that makes sense then.
But, you know, I tried to get them to send me to Interlaken, and they didn't have the money for that either. And eventually we just had to move me to public school. I'm
Oh,
really
I'm
kind of
so sorry
devastated.
for you.
I
Oh,
know
man.
I'm absolutely devastated about that because I really wanted the amazing Cranbrook education. But
I
no, I
understand.
had to go to public school and deal with having a mascot who was a blue jay of all things.
Oh,
Yeah, not fun. Okay, Christopher, go ahead.
Madam Storyteller, question for you. Last night you laid out quite a bit of information and a lot of dialogue that was quite extraordinary. And I'm wondering how this person you got the dialogue from was there and could recite everything so specifically that you could lay it out for everyone. It doesn't seem particularly reliable.
Well, you know, the reliability of one's sources is always called into question. Mark Love will tell you the same thing when you're writing for the newspaper and you're interviewing various sources. You got to take what's given to you. And I need to clarify that I did mention that I got this information from several people that I have interviewed, not only with the Whitney Manor staff, but others as well. So this was an amalgamation of third-party hearsay, and I kind of did what writers do, and I created the dialogue from what I was told.
You took liberties.
I'm a writer. It's what I do.
Ugh.
Amy will tell you the same darn thing. Okay.
well,
Mark
not the
Love.
wealth. People dying in a well thing.
Oh, yeah. Mark Love, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's not uncommon when you're working as a reporter to get comments from somebody, and then of course a good journalist will verify those by seeking out other sources as well. So it may have been more than one person that our storyteller was talking to, and sometimes there's a fine line between your side, my side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. So
Mark,
for
Mark,
Pete's sake.
I appreciate your validation as a writer. Thank you very much. Okay, who else had questions? Mary Ann, go ahead.
I have something to say. I
Oh.
don't think any of you are seeing the correct picture here.
Uh-oh.
The Great One has found my little sister like I knew he always would. I knew he was the answer, but he's found my Nora. What happened to her? It's terrible. But the Great One has found her.
In
And
Amy's
I don't
backyard.
understand why you aren't all just so enamored of him. He is the one that's going to give us all the answers. And for all of you who don't believe in the Great One, shame on you. This is what he has to say for you. So there. Great One.
That's
Oh,
not going
Great
away
One.
anytime soon.
I've got your back, Jack. I've
It's
got your back.
good to have
My front.
good to have somebody in your corner, isn't it? All right, Mark
It
Love.
is.
Mark Love, go ahead.
well, one of the things that's troubled me on this situation is Jules made the statement last night that she was trying to quiet her and she shot the gun But I think the great Christopher had an excellent point last night. There's no verification that she actually hit Nora. And what happened to the body? So, Marianne, I'd be a little hesitant before doing the happy dance here because you still don't know where she is or if she's alive, if she's dead.
He's
All
right
you
there.
all you
Gary.
know all you know is that Jules admitted to shooting at her, but where's the body? Where's the remains?
Well, she's a trollop. Who knows?
Not even here to defend herself. Okay.
Okay. Christopher, please, the great one. You have something you'd like to contribute or ask?
I do, because this is a follow-up from last night. Amy never got back with us yet regarding if she had dug up the crystal ball outside.
Okay,
You have a
so
response, Amy?
I do. Let's just be clear. I didn't actually dig up any crystal ball intentionally, but I did go to the well because, the well is part of my inspiration. And I happened to come across the crystal ball near the well, maybe in the ground. I don't know. It was there. And of course, it was something that was very special to us, to me and Richard and Nora growing up. So I did bring the crystal ball in. I was going to put it in my room, as you know, on the third floor of the Whitney, because of course I can afford to live here because I'm such a great author.
Sorry.
But
all of us are so privileged.
I know. And I'm so sorry for all of you who are
So,
not.
so are you the one who put it on the table then?
I put it on the mantle in the ghost room, and then I came down to the foyer because I was already running late. I just set it there. I don't know how it got on the table.
He's a dirty bird. Dirty bird.
Nope.
Marianne was a parrot in her past life. Okay. Who else has questions? Anyone? Donna Newman, go.
Well, I had a question, but now I have an Amy, you went and saw the crystal ball. At what point did you see the crystal ball by the well? Did you?
Okay, again, before the seance, Jules
So
and
today.
Richard had an argument. Yes.
Okay.
They had an argument that I was trying to talk to Richard. He was being mean to me. So I ran
He's a
off to go
moron.
comfort myself where I always go to comfort myself, the well, the forest around this wonderful place. And I happened to find the crystal ball there.
Did you
Okay.
see anybody there by you prior, like while you were walking out? Did you see somebody leaving?
I didn't notice anybody, but I was kind of distraught, so there may have been some tears clouding my vision.
All right. Gary Floyd, go ahead.
Amy, did you see anybody move the crystal ball from the mantle to the table?
I did not. I put it on the mantle, but then I rushed right down because everyone was already meeting in the foyer. I had to get my peanuts before they were gone. So.
You had to get Marianne's peanuts.
Oh, well,
Marianne should have had better to eat than peanuts.
Yeah, we don't want to fly in an airplane with Marianne. Okay, Jennifer Rains, go ahead.
My question's for Donna. Donna, as part of your preparation of the room, did you move that ball from the mantle to the table?
So that's the thing. I didn't prepare for this room. Everything was already set up. This seance was completely different than anything the great Christopher had ever done before. He was acting different during the seance than he had acted before. I went into the room and everything was already set up, which, as I said, was completely odd for me as great Christopher.
The great Christopher, you have a question?
Amy, when you got the crystal ball and you brought it in, why did you put it on the mantle of all places?
Well, where was I gonna put it? I set it somewhere. Didn't have time to get to my room. I wanted to get down to, get the food I thought we were gonna have. I didn't realize it was just gonna be peanuts, or I would have taken a little longer and taken care of the crystal ball, but I just set it down. And the mantle was the closest thing around, so.
Seems very odd.
That would explain the disheveledness of your appearance in the foyer.
Yeah, I was kind of running late there, so.
Mark Love, go ahead.
This one's for Donna. You just said that the great Christopher was acting very oddly at this event, very different from any previous seance that he's conducted. Could you describe a little more how he was behaving or acting?
Well, first of all, he received instructions before the seance. He's never had that happen before. He got the instructions along with this envelope full of money. And as you guys know, he received a huge sum of money, and we were told it was what, thousands of dollars.
My notes say 6 figures.
6 figures. Okay. Yeah. The other thing though is, I don't know, he just didn't act like he was channeling like he normally acts. It was just a completely different kind of vibe that I normally got. And that's about all I can tell you. Just, it wasn't the normal seance that the Great Christopher does.
That
Apart
vibe,
from
Donna,
Donna?
it's called acid reflux. If you knew the Tums that I had to take at the beginning of that event after what I ate, you would not
Why
be
did
questioning.
why did you send me to get the Tums for you? I'm your assistant for a reason. Remember, you saved my life. I would like to repay that someday.
Yeah, you should. You should.
How was the payment made? Was it in the form of dead presidents, or was it in a cashier's check or something?
It was envelope full of cash.
Cash is
Which-
king.
Which
And
the
you
great
keep that
one deserves.
you keep that under your hat, Great
I
Christopher?
wish. I truly wish.
Anyone else have any question? We have time for about 2 more. Mary Ann, go ahead.
Okay, all you nosy people are not looking at the important facts again. I want to speak to my younger sister. So, Gary Floyd, you best be listening to me. I want to speak to my sister. I want to speak to her. She used to be playing in the forest with the dirty bird and the moron Richard. And she was so fascinated with that crystal ball. And she used to say it had secrets. Did my darling, darling younger sister that I love with all my heart, what secrets did you see in that crystal ball?
All I know is that they use the ball for storytelling. I noticed that when I came to in the room that I was mesmerized by the crystal ball, but I don't know how it got there.
The crystal ball is a key here, I am sure. Oh, great one, mighty, mighty great one. What do you see in the balls?
Ooh.
I'm
I'll tell
hanging
you
on
later.
every word.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're done for tonight. Somebody give me a rim shot. No,
My-
don't. Wait, forget that. Okay. All right. Congratulations. We did barely squeak through another interrogation session. Wow. I need a nap. Okay. So again, who did it? Come back tomorrow to ask more questions, collect more clues, and get ready to sling your accusation at the end of the month. I want to remind you of one really important thing that I don't think we have been addressing since the very beginning of the festival. And I feel like, given where the story is kind of traveling, I need to remind you, none of our seance participants know who killed Richard. I have not told them. If they have divined it by some other way, if they have sneaky things going on in the background, I don't know about it. So be aware. They may be trying to trick you. They may be trying to put shade on somebody else. So be very careful in your scrutiny when you listen and watch the replays. You never know what detail may be important. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the wax drippings. Here are the top 5. I don't know how it's happening, but it is. Christopher Gare is in first place. Amy Kelso is in second. Andrew Allen Smith is in third. Jules Nelson and Deborah Reed are tied for fourth. And Marianne Wieland still is hanging on to that number 5 spot, which is an amazing, wonderful thing. So there's our top 5. Keep coming back every night. Name those authors. We're going to be giving away prizes at the end of the month. And now it's time for talismans from the spirits. We're giving away the books that were read this evening. And we did have some technology snafus, but as we're all pantsers, well, almost all of us are pantsers in this room, we just flew with it. So tonight we're having 2 books giveaway. Donna Newman's children's book, I Want a Birthday Party, and Jennifer Rain's novel, Layla's Choice. Did I get those right? Okay, awesome. Do we have copies of those books that we can hold up? There's Donna's book. It's upside down, Donna, but that's cool. There you go. Donna's book. And there's Layla's Choice from Jennifer. All right, when you get Jennifer's book, you guys make sure that you save the stamp because it is coming all the way from Australia. So check that out. All right, I am gonna get the spinning wheel of happiness going here. Remember, our spinning wheel of happiness provides books for people who register by 6:30 p.m. each night. So if you didn't register by 6:30, sorry. Come back tomorrow and register early. All right, so first, Donna Newman's book. Can everybody see the wheel? There have been so many little sprites in the technology tonight. I just want to make sure. Okay, here we go. Donna Newman's book.
No audio.
That's okay. It's all good. Well, this thing. Da, 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 da.
Okay, so
Donna, you won your book.
so we're gonna put
Get a
the
cowboy hat.
wheel, doing the wheel thing again. I'm gonna see if I can share my sound so you guys will. There we go. There's the sound. Okay, so we're gonna try that again. Okay, here we go. You want a book? Yeah. My wheel is not. Okay, technology is not my friend today, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right, let's try it again. Now we're gonna give away Jennifer's book. Okay, here we go. Congratulations, Diana. You won a book. Let's rejoice. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for putting up with the technology snafus tonight. I appreciate it. And let's see if I can. I don't know if I can't do it. You guys are just going to have to believe me. So, on the 29th, we're coming back to reveal all of the things. So make sure you put that on your calendar. We're also doing an extravagant hat contest. We're giving away other prizes as well, prizes that I'm not going to reveal until the night of. So come on back. We're going to have a good time. Drag your friends and family along. Let's make it a big deal because there's a murder to be solved. All right, let's go around the room and do shots across the bow. Christopher Gare, go.
Marianne, I adore you. Thank you.
You do make it fun, Marianne. Amy Kelso, shots across the bow.
Marianne, I don't adore you because you're upstaging me. No, that's
Well, that's too bad, you dirty bird.
yeah.
Gary Floyd, go, shots across the bow.
The key is between Amy bringing in the crystal ball and Donna not seeing anybody in the crystal ball. Who was in that room?
Gary Floyd was the only one we know was in that room.
but he doesn't pick up stuff.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Oh, there's that.
Details.
My
Just-
hand goes through wood, for God's sakes.
Just, plot points we left out. I don't know. Mary Ann shouts across the bow.
I don't know what to say. I love all of you, really. Dirty birds or not.
Donna Newman.
Every time Marianne says dirty bird, all I can think about is the movie Misery.
Yep.
Now I need to go watch it because that's all I can think about when you say that.
Yeah, I can't watch that because it's too emotionally painful for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that writer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight. We have had an awesome time. I apologize for the technology glitches. We'll get it back on track tomorrow, although I cannot promise where the story will go. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome evening.
Hi, everybody.
Bye-bye.